So, we talked in the last segment about what is happening in our body and touched on the autonomic nervous system. And we're going to dive into the details of our autonomic nervous system in this section. So, our autonomic nervous system is the part of our nervous system that just works automatically. It's the stuff that makes sure that we're breathing, that our heart is beating, that we are doing all the functions that keep us alive. So, this autonomic nervous system is made up of two branches. We have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is the part of our nervous system that ramps us up, that speeds up our heart rate, that will take in extra oxygen when we want to go for a run or accomplish something. Our parasympathetic nervous system slows us down. It is the part of our nervous system that allows us to recover and sleep and relax, all of those great things. And there is sort of newer science out there that breaks the parasympathetic nervous system up into two complexes. So originally, it was thought that we had the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, and it was just two parts. But actually, the parasympathetic nervous system is made up of two different sets of nerves, if you will. There's the dorsal vagal complex and the ventral vagal complex. And what's interesting about these two sets of nerves is that they actually were created, if you will, or came into our bodies at different points in our evolution. So the dorsal vagal complex was part of our nervous system when we were like lizards, or when we, a really long time ago, this part of our nervous system came into being. And it is focused primarily around our digestive organs and our heart and our lungs. And the ventral vagal complex, those nerve endings are believed to be part of a more recent evolution. So when we're talking about evolution, the numbers get, silly very quickly, but the ventral vagal complex, this part of our nervous system that's really focused around our eyes, our mouth, our throat, the parts of our nervous system that actually help us connect with community was the last or the most recent part of our nervous system to develop. And so there are parts of us that are really ancient and is a focus on keeping us alive. And then there's this other part of the parasympathetic nervous system that is really healthy and more relatable to our lives as we live them today in society. So the sympathetic nervous system, as I said, amps you up, allows you to escape from a situation. It also allows you to get your work done, accomplish the things that you want to do in life. The parasympathetic nervous system, as I said, slows you down, allows you to recover or conserve energy. It creates the protection mechanism around our bodies. And then when we get into that dorsal vagal and ventral vagal, we have that digestive organ, and it also will just immobilize us, right? When we are in danger, it is the part of our nervous system that says don't move, and so it will turn on and have us really feel immobilized. This is what causes us to numb out or feel dissociated from an experience or from our bodies or from ourselves. So this is a really, really old part of our nervous system that causes us to do that. And it is really based on survival rather than being in the present moment or really being able to take in the dynamic that's happening with our community around us. And so what we're trying to do is move our nervous system when we're feeling anxious, when we're having anxiety, move them from the extremes of the sympathetic nervous system response. So, feeling super amped up and like really needing to get a lot done, or the extreme of this dorsal vagal response, which is to immobilize us and feel frozen or collapsed or dissociated from ourselves and our community. And we're moving ourselves into this ventral vagal part of the nervous system. So we're activating the eyes and the mouth, the inner ears, the throat, right? How we actually communicate, hear, engage with people around us. So when we get stuck, we often are in this fight or flight part of our nervous system, or our freeze part. And there's definitely ways, as you start to take in this information and sort of the science of what's happening in our body, you'll start to notice, like, oh yeah, I am feeling anxious and I do have this really intense need to get a bunch of stuff done. Or maybe I feel that need, but I'm not actually able to do anything and I can't figure out why. You can start to identify in yourself how you're feeling, what your body is feeling like, and then identify what part of your nervous system is active. And when you get to that point of being able to identify what part of your nervous system is overactive, you've crossed a really important threshold, because you are reconnecting into the inner sense of your body and being able to listen to yourself, which is one thing that so many of us turn off at an early age, or in our early careers. We tend to turn that part off and just work through things, or push through things rather. And with the yoga for anxiety, what we're doing is we're creating habits, we're creating tools for ourselves to identify where we're at, and then move our nervous system into this ventral vagal place so that we're really activated in engaging with our community, being able to engage with ourselves if need be, in a really nourishing way. And the second component is like proofing yourself from anxiety. So the idea that we are building resilience within the neural pathways that allow us to move back and forth between the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. And the reality is that we move back and forth with each breath. So every time we breathe, we're moving back and forth. We might not be connected with that movement, and so it feels like that response, but really helping our bodies know that when we are coming out to the edges or the extreme of a nervous system response, that we can turn around and we know the path back to homeostasis. We know the path back to balance and to a place of calm for ourselves is critical to our well-being, our ongoing well-being, rather than just dealing with the moments that are overwhelming and knowing how to get out of them. There's an element of prevention from getting into those places as well. So I'm looking forward to sharing some of those tips with you and getting into the next section.